Hey, Shabbat Shalom, Yeshua and world. I'm Brother Ezekiel,
I'm Brother Jose.
and we're here on the Shabbat to finish up. Last lesson I put out. I said we were done with the Book of Numbers, but how can I forget one? Excuse me, I forgot one in the last lesson, so I'm bringing that up. I mean, it was going to say it in Deuteronomy anyways, but still, I wanted to get like the repeats out of the way. So, anywho. We're going to start here in Numbers chapter 15 and verse 37 through 41. And one moment, let me get there. Bada bing, bada bing. All right. Okay, go ahead.
All right, this is Numbers chapter 15 verse 37. And the Most High spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments through their generations, and that they put upon the fringe upon the borders a ribband of blue. And it shall be unto you for a fringe, that ye may look upon it and remember all the commandments of Salaki, all of the commandments of the Lord, and do to them, and that ye seek not after your own heart and your own eyes, after which ye used to go a whoring, that ye may remember and do all my commandments, and be holy unto your God. I am your Lord, your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord, your God.
So right here is letting you know. So this was the law of putting on the borders of blue and the fringes and things to remind you to keep the laws and things. Now, yes, we are supposed to do that today. And some people say, well, no, it's not about the outer appearance and things like that. True indeed.
And it says throughout your generations.
Right. But you're supposed to put them on anyways. You know what I'm saying? So, I heard brothers out there and sisters talk about other brothers out there in garments calling them Power Rangers and ninjas and things like that. I mean,
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's like we ain't supposed to. You're not supposed to make fun of that. You know what I'm saying? And that's due to individuals a lack of understanding of things. And if I remember correctly, there is a scripture in here that speaks on about talking about a brother in his garments and things like that. So, you got to be mindful of what you say and what you be saying to your brothers out there who's doing that. They're actually doing it according to
the law.
The law. So, you know what I'm saying? So this is the law of keeping the borders of blue, or excuse me, the fringes in the border of blue to remind you how the Most High brought our ancestors up out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, with an outstretched arm and a mighty hand and things. So that's what you're supposed to do, okay? So, if you can't afford it, that's understandable. But when you do have money, you afford it, then buy those things. You have to. It's a law. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, now that's it for the book of Numbers, okay? So now we're starting in the book of we're going to go into the book of Deuteronomy and get all the laws, statutes, and commandments out of there. Not the repeats, but the other laws that's not mentioned in Exodus or Leviticus or Numbers, okay? So we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 16 through 19, which is the next law.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 16. Lest ye corrupt yourself and make you a graven image,
the
similitude of any figure, the likeness of male or female.
Now hold it right there. Some people think, well, this is a repeat here. Well, you'll see the rest of the law because this goes in depth about the idol worshiping and everything else of worshiping other things and stuff that you're not supposed to do. Stop worrying about all these other things, okay? So it's going to get to it. Just be patient with it. Go ahead.
Verse 17, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, the likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air, the likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the water beneath the earth. And lest thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them, and serve them which the Lord thy God hath divided unto the nations under the whole heaven.
So stop right there. So it's letting you know right here, that's the law. You know, people will be worshiping the sun, the moon, and the stars and stuff. So
and animals.
That's another thing. Idol worshiping and things like that as well. So, you know, we're making any symbolism. The Most High said, don't make any images of anything that's in the heaven or that's in the earth or what's beneath the earth or, you know, any animals, nothing. Man, woman, and not bow down and worship him and stuff. You know, now some will say, well, you trying to sound holier than thou. You know, we can't, you know, have appreciation for the Most High stuff. Yeah, you can look at the sun, you can look at the moon, you can look at the stars, but the moment you start, well, I want to connect astrology and astronomy and all this and that and the other and stuff, it's like, it's another form of worship. We're not taught those things, okay? We're not supposed to be dealing with all those things like that, you know, and that's against because all the other nations did that before us. So, you know, a lot of that stuff does come out of Egypt. It came out of Babylon, you know, so forth and so on and things. Don't go into the ways of the Gentiles, period. Okay? So let's get the next law. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 13.
This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 13.
Let me get there real quick. Okay, go ahead.
Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God, and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. Ye shall not go after other gods of the people which are round about you.
So stop right there. So the Most High said, ye shall fear the Most High. Okay? So we fearing the Most High is that we being obedient to everything that he says to do. It's a law, statute, commandment. So if anybody comes out there and tells you their opinion or how they feel about the Bible and things like that, that's everything written in the Torah, the Tanakh, and the Gospel and stuff, and they feel like that's wrong and things like that, they ain't fearing the Most High. And they're indoctrinated and they're been, you know, given other interpretations of the book. I'm not interpreting this for my own understanding or anything like that. I'm just giving an understanding that what it says according to the word, and not to sit there and come up with all these different opinions and what you feel is right and what you feel is wrong. That's religion. You know, those are cults. You know, that's man's doctrines. Okay? So we want to fear the Most High by keeping his law, statute, commandments. We don't care about what everybody else says or that's not right, that's not fair, and things like that. You know, no, we follow what the book says. But let's get the next law. Deuteronomy 6 and 16.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 16. Ye shall not tempt the Lord your God, as ye tempted him in Massa.
So right there, thou shalt not tempt the Most High thy God. Plain and simple. Don't try to antagonize the Most High. Don't try to tease. Don't try to see what's going to happen. Well, if I do this, maybe, you know, maybe this might not happen. He may not be mad. Don't do that. Okay, plain and simple. You know, if you got children out there and things, and you know, you be telling your children stop playing around so much. You know, they be doing stuff to aggravate you. You know, to antagonize you, to tempt you, and things like that. Same thing with the Heavenly Father. Okay, that's why He said He made us in our image, in His image. So, with that being said, don't do those things. Plain and simple. Okay? Let's get the next law. Verses 20 through 25. I'm getting book and chapter.
This is verse 20.
Give me book and chapter.
This is chapter 6 of Deuteronomy, verse 20. And when thy son asketh thee in time to come, saying, what mean the testimonies and the statutes and the judgments which the Lord our God hath commanded you?
So stop right there. So the testimony, meaning the witnesses, okay? These are the witnesses when your children ask you. The statutes, meaning the order, Okay, the judgments, all the law, statute, commandments, not just the 10 commandments, all the law, statute, and commandments. They're all one. Okay, it's not God made this law, these commandments, and then Moses made these commandments. No, don't do that. That all came from the Most High. All right, there's no separation.
Con.
Okay, but keep reading.
Verse 21. Then thou shalt say unto thy son, we were Pharaoh's bondmen in Egypt, and the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. And the Lord shewed signs and wonders great and sore upon Egypt, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes. And he brought us out from thence, that he might bring us in, to give us the land which he sware unto our fathers. And the Lord commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear the Lord our God, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness, if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God, as he hath commanded us.
No, only to do some. Verse 25 again.
It says, as he hath commanded us.
Right, to do all or just some?
Some.
No, it says all. I'm being funny here. Sorry. No, my bad, man. No, when when we read and we try to grind this into your head, because it says to do all his commandments, and I'm being funny. I'm saying some. You know what I'm saying? That's like, no, it's to throw people off. Like, no, it says all, because you have some people say, well, you can only do some of this, and no, we ain't got to keep the law, statute, commandments. But I'm referring this to those individuals who only say, well, we only supposed to keep the 10, and that's it. No, he says all his commandments, all his laws, all his statutes. Okay, so that's what we're supposed to do. So when your children ask you, you're supposed to remind them how he brought us up out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, the iron furnace and things like that. That's what he did. This is what we teach our children, to remember all these things and all the signs and wonders that he did. He's going to do it again. So we have to teach our children that and everything, okay? That's a law in itself. Let's get the next law, which would be Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 1 through 5.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1.
No, chapter
7. Salaki, chapter 7, verse 1. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
I'll hold it right there. Now, this is the law. Now, I'm not telling anybody, okay, no Israelite, and I'm telling in no shape or form to go out there and go just marry a Gentile. I'm not saying that, okay? But what I am saying, according to this law, the Most High forbidded you not to marry the sons of Canaan. All 7 of these that they're speaking of right here, they're all sons of Canaan. Okay, go look in the genealogy and things like that back in Genesis. Okay, he said not to go on to them, because otherwise, then that's a contradiction in the next law, what we'll get on later on, which is in Deuteronomy 21, and I believe it's verse. One moment, I think it's verse 15. Let me just make sure. It's locked here, y'all. Verse 10 through 13. Or excuse me, through 14. 10 through 14. That would sound like it's a contradiction, but it's not. He specifically said not to marry the Canaanites, because Moses married a Midianite. One of his wives was Midian, which is an Arabian, which is the sons of Ishmael, and he married an Ethiopian, both his wives were Gentiles, according to the scriptures. Mind you, you have one from who was Hebrew, which is Ishmael, but not an Israelite. Okay? The other, as it says, the Ethiopian, she was Cush. Okay? So anyways, it's speaking of Canaan. It didn't say all of the nations out there, okay? But we'll get into that later and stuff, because a lot of people may look on here and be like, yo, he's trying to advocate to marry all Gentiles and stuff. No, I'm not. And heck, that's why Christ said don't strive with genealogy. So mind you, yes, we marry people who look like us, other Israelites and things like that. So, now I'm not telling you to go get you a Gentile and things like that. That's not what I'm saying. And then some will say I think it's in Ezra, where it says that you should put away your strange wives and their children and stuff. But not even understanding what that scripture actually means. The word strange is anybody that's going against the Most High God. Okay? Because Ruth, and I'm going to say this for the record, she was a Moabite. A Hebrew Moabite. She is the daughters and sons of Lot, which is Abraham's brother, or who knows how many great uncles. Okay? Those are our cousins, Moabite. If you read the story of Ruth, Ruth followed the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's what she told Naomi. Okay? And Boaz went on there to carry on their son's lineage because they were kin. Okay? So, if people want to say I'm wrong at what I'm saying, the scriptures prove it. I've done the research, all this and that and the other. The other stuff that's saying that Ruth is an Israelite, that's a doctrine, 100%. But anyways, a man-made doctrine at that. But let's go back, verse 2.
This is chapter 7 of Deuteronomy, verse 2. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor shew mercy unto them. Verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his son shall be given to thy daughter. Salaki.
Take it, sorry, I'm out. Read that again, verse 3.
Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly. But thus shall ye deal with them.
Stop right there. So that's just showing and prove right there what we were supposed to do. Now, once again, even Joseph, his wife was Egyptian. You know what I'm saying? And on and on and on. And Abraham had way more wives than just Sarah and Hagar. You got to read up behind that and stuff too. Other nations and things like that. So, anywho, just bringing forth for just saying what it is. Now, Solomon is a prime example. Yes, he had many wives and he had different other women and things like that, other nations. And that's exactly what happened to him. They turned his heart away from the Most High. If he would have just stuck on it, there would have been no issue. Solomon would have still been sitting on his throne and his sons, and it would have been righteousness, and Yeshua wouldn't have even had to come. Okay? But that's exactly what happened. So we kept sinning and sinning. So we in the curse that we in today and things. Okay? So that's what it's saying. No strange women and things like that. Like, listen, you got to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments, okay? So that's what it says according to the word of not to marry your daughters. It did not say, thou shalt not marry Cush. Thou shalt not marry whatever, all the other nations out there and things like that. It specifically said Canaan, okay? So, like I said, otherwise it's going to contradict the other laws that's written in here about, especially when you go to war, okay? But we'll come to that later, all right? We're just going to go in order here. Let's get the next law, chapter 7, verse 17 through 24.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 17. If thou shalt say in thine heart, these nations are more than I. How can I dispose them? Thou shalt not be afraid of them, but shalt well remember what the Lord thy God did unto Pharaoh and unto all Egypt, the great temptations which thine eyes saw, and the signs of the wonders, and the mighty hand, and the stretch out arm, whereby the Lord thy God bought thee out, so shall the Lord thy God do unto all the people of whom thou art afraid. Moreover, the Lord thy God will send the hornet among them until they that are left, and hide themselves from thee, be destroyed. Thou shalt not be
affrighted. Oh, hold it right there. So right here, the Most High said, don't ever even say in your heart or your mind to be afraid of anything out there. You know, there's a law that says you shall only fear the Most High, as we just got done reading. You don't even worry about what's going to happen. As long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and keeping His law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability, you ain't got to be afraid of nobody. Nothing out here. No animals, not no man, beast, insects, whatever. Okay? Or the weathers, you know, the storms and things. You don't have to be afraid of that. Okay? Just do what the Most High asks you to do. And you ain't got to worry about those things. Because the Most High said He didn't create us with the spirit of fear. Okay? But and this next law is coming up. Go ahead, read that, 21.
Thou shalt not be affrighted at them, for the Lord thy God is amongst you, a mighty God and terrible. And the Lord thy God will put out those nations before thee by little and little. Thou mayest not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon thee. But the Lord thy God shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed. And he shall deliver their kings into thine hand, and thou shalt destroy their name from under heaven. There shall no man be able to stand before thee until thou have destroyed them.
Okay, stop right there. So it's letting you know, the Most High does stuff in segments. Okay. That's how He works and things. Like you said, you could pray all you want for certain things and stuff, and you're like, I need this right now. So it won't come like that. It'll come at pieces, segment. It may come at one whole song. You never know. But the whole thing is if you keep these laws, statutes, commandments, then He'll answer your prayers. It's just not going to work on your time. So with that being said, like you said, so the beasts won't increase because, animals eating all the men and women and children and stuff like that that's being put to death. You got to remember, the law says you're not supposed to eat the blood of an animal or eat the blood of anybody and stuff, because the blood is what carries the soul, the spirit and stuff. So these animals taking on all these different spirits and things of people and stuff, and they've been dealing with a lot of wickedness. So that's a combination that's going on in that animal and stuff. So you never know, you might have man eaters out here and stuff. Animals that just be like, going off and things like that. Especially like when Christ put the legions that was in the man that He was
into the pig.
Yeah, well, He was purifying them and casting them into the swine and stuff. They went and herding off off the cliff and things and drowned in the water and things. So, that's what they do and things. So, I mean, that's why it's telling you the Most High does stuff in segments. Okay. But let's get the next law, verse 25 and 26.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 25. The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire. Thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto thee, lest thou be snared therein, for it is an abomination to the Lord thy God.
Hold it right there. So, the graven images, when you burn them, okay, this is a law too. You're supposed to burn them, not just break them and stuff. Burn them. Okay. If they're made out of gold and silver, a lot of cats be like, oh man, I got silver and gold and stuff. Don't mess with it. Let it go. You know what I'm saying? Them things is carrying demons in it. It's an abomination. It got spirits on them. Let it go. It's unclean. It could have leprosy on there and things like that. You know, who knows what. But anyways, don't even get a snare, you know, be caught up with it because it has value to it and stuff. So no. So you see some image of, you know, any gods out there and stuff, and you burn them and things, you know, then you know, don't do it. No, and I'm not advocating people to go around to all these churches, even though wish you could, but you know, and all these mosques and all these temples of these other isms and schisms and religions out here and stuff. Not telling you to go up in there and just start cracking them and burning them. No. You got to follow the laws of the land, okay? So, finish verse 26, King.
Verse 26 of chapter 7 of Deuteronomy. Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house, lest thou be accursed, thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing.
So letting you know right now, like I said, it's a cursed thing. You don't know what's on it. You're supposed to detest it, meaning as in disgust with it. Okay? Don't deal with it. So to my friends out there that you know me and you guys watch these videos and you still dealing in those churches and stuff, and you see that cross with that man who they think is Christ and stuff, that's idol worshiping. If you walk around with rosemary beads and doing 10 Hail Marys and dealing in a mosque, going over there to make pilgrim to Mecca to go kiss the Kaaba stone and all this and that and the other and stuff, you better stop doing that. This is pre-warning and stuff. Since you claim you love the Most High, you know, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to my Muslim brothers out there and sisters, like, yo, you claim you love the Most High, stop doing those things. You know, there's no ifs and buts about it. All right. Let's get the next law. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 10 through 20.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 10. When thou hast eaten and art full, then thou shalt bless the Lord thy God for the good land which he hath given thee.
Stop right there. So basically, you know, some say they pray after getting their food and stuff, after they get done eating. Some pray before they eat their food and stuff. So pretty much, I do like both, you know, but it's a law here. It's telling you give thanks to the Most High before, you know, after you get done eating and things, because he's the one that allowed that to happen. He's the one that allowed you to get, you know, bread on this earth and, you know, spiritual bread as well. Okay. So it's a law in itself, but this is one whole law. But continue.
Verse 11. Beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God, in not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses and dwelt therein, and when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, and all that thou hast is multiplied, then thine heart be lifted up, and thou forget the Lord thy God, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage.
Stop right there. So it's like, you know, rich folks. That's why, you know, back in the New Testament, it tells you Christ said it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is a rich man to inherit the kingdom. Because when you have all those things, what do you need to pray for? I ain't got to worry about praying and stuff. I'm good. I'm Gucci. You know what I'm saying? I got everything. I got money. I got clothes. I got cars. I got women. I got houses, homes, all this stuff. Their flock is the money, you know, and that's why a lot of, you know, entertainers, you know, they like the heck with that. They got whatever they wanted, and they don't want to deal with the Most High. Don't even remember that where you came from. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them, you know, a lot of our people ain't born with silver spoons in their mouth and things like that. But that's what's going on. So now you become lifted. You be like, I'm the one that did this. I'm the one that achieved this. I'm the one who, was able to do this. And you just pushed away the Most High like you God yourself. You know what I'm saying? I achieved this. I accomplished this. You know? And that's the issue. They don't want to turn back to the Most High. Okay? They'll forget it 100%. But let's finish reading.
Verse 15. Who led thee through the great and terrible wilderness, wherein were fiery serpents and scorpions, and drought where there was no water, who brought thee forth water out of the rock of flint, who fled thee in the wilderness with manna, which thy fathers knew not, that he might humble thee, and that he might prove thee to do thee good at thy latter end. And thou say in thine heart, my power and my might of mine hand hath gotten me this wealth.
See that? So you lift up your voice and even say, man, myself is the one that got this, not the Most High. You taking all praises and credit for self, and then you turn to people into becoming idol worshippers of you. You know what I'm saying? Because they want to follow you and things like that. And that's amongst Israel today, as in cats who do know the truth. And you know exactly what I'm talking about and stuff too.
Yeah, like
you know, you guys want
like when they want to worship these athletes.
Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah, not just only the athletes, but the churches and stuff, Christianity, Islam, all these other isms and schisms, the conscious community, you know, Pan-Africanism, you know, and Israelites that's in these camps too. You know, a lot of that stuff is doing too. I mean, you know, you ain't got so puffed up to the point where you ain't forgot where you came from. You know, and the main thing we're supposed to remember that we came out of the land of Egypt. We all were servants at one point, and we still serve until today. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, you got to remember where you're coming from. And a lot of our people in the world today don't do that. They're not humble enough. Okay? So let's continue reading.
Okay.
Read 17 again.
Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 17. And thou say in thine heart, my power and the might of my hand have gotten me this wealth. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God, for it is He that giveth thee power to get the wealth, that He may establish His covenant, which He sware unto thy fathers, as it is this day. And it shall be, if thou do at all forget the Lord thy God, and walk after other gods, and serve them, and worship them, I testify against you this day that ye shall surely perish. As the nations which the Lord destroyeth before your face, so shall ye perish, because ye would not be obedient unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So you know, once again, this is why he keeps repeating, out of the land of Egypt, 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 out of the land of Egypt. He keeps reminding you this to get it in your heads. Like, yo, every time you get a blessing, every time you wake up, every time you go to sleep, all your little things that you do from day to day and stuff, you're always supposed to remember and give thanks to the Most High. Through the Messiah. Right. Or you say Yahweh Shai or Jesus Christ or Yehoshua or Yeshua, you know. Like I said, I don't get into debates about the names and stuff. But anyways, this is what we're supposed to do, and that's why we're always supposed to remember these things. Okay? But our people have forgotten, and we don't even know who we are. You know, our identity been stolen, and we've been brainwashed with these ideologies out here that's dealing with, you know, with all these other nations that have put that over us and wanted to become an authority over our book. Okay? But let's get the next law. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 9 and verse 4 through 5.
Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 4. Speak not thou in thine heart, after the Lord thy God hath cast them out from before thee, saying, for my righteousness the Lord hath brought me in to possess this land. But for the wickedness of these nations the Lord doth drive them out from before thee. Not for thy righteousness, or for the or for the uprightness of thine heart, dost thou go to possess their land, but for the wickedness of these nations the Lord thy God doth drive them out of from before thee, and that he may perform the word which the Lord sware unto thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
So start right there. So don't ever say in your heart, because of your righteousness, all the things that you do for keeping his law, statute, commandments, that, the Most High had done this, to possess the land and everything, but for the wickedness of the nations and things. You're supposed to say, just keep it what it is. The Most High gave us those lands because of the unrighteousness that they were doing, the wickedness that they were doing and stuff, okay? So, like it says in verse 5 again, it says, not for thy righteousness or for the uprightness of thine heart doest thou go to possess the land, but for the wickedness of these nations, the Lord thy God doeth drive them out from before thee, and that he may perform the word which the Most High sware unto thy father Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So, be careful once again what you're saying. All right. Let's get the next law. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 11 and verse 18 through 25.
Deuteronomy chapter what?
11,
Okay.
verse 18 through 25.
Deuteronomy chapter 18.
No, 11.
Chapter 11. Salakia.
Verse 18.
Verse 18. Therefore shall ye lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. And ye shall teach them your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thine house and upon thy gates, that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children in the land which the Lord sware unto your father to give them as the days of heaven upon the earth. For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments which I, the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto
read that
him.
again. Read that again. Verse 22. Take your time, Maki.
Verse 22. For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments which I command you to do them, to love the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, and to cleave unto him, then will the Lord drive out all these nations from before you, and ye shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves. Salakia. Every place whereon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea shall your coast be.
Okay, stop right there. Oh, I'm sorry. One more. I'm sorry. Verse 25.
There shall no man be able to stand before you, for the Lord your God shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that ye shall tread upon, as he hath said unto you.
So right there, it's letting you know as a law. You're supposed to write these law, statute, commandments. You got them on a border of blue. You got the fringes, the tassels, and things to remind you. You can write them on your arm, not tattoo it, get something and write it on there like a bracelet or whatever, and things like that. You can wear like some brothers wear like, headwear where they have the law, statute, commandments written on there and things. So it's to remind you to do these things. And then also you're supposed to put this all in the Most High. in your house. You're supposed to write the Most High's name and all His laws, statutes, commandments in your house and things. Okay, this is always to remind you. So when you leave out, wherever you go, you will forever have these around you in your mind, body, and soul. So some say, well, what's the purpose of doing that when somebody they could be all that and still be wicked? True indeed. But you have some who don't do it and they ain't wicked, but the fact of the matter is this is a law. Okay, so you're supposed to do these things, period. Okay, let's get the next law. Go to chapter 12, Deuteronomy 12 and verse 1 through 3.
Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 1. These are the statutes and judgments which ye shall observe to do in the land, which the Lord God of thy fathers giveth thee to possess it. All the days that ye live upon the earth, ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which ye shall possess serve their gods upon thy high mountains, and upon thy hills, and under every green tree.
Keep reading.
Verse 3. And ye shall overthrow their altars, and break their pillars, and burn their groves with fire. And ye shall hew down the graven images of their gods, and destroy the names of them out of that place.
So you're supposed to burn all those things. Take out the names of all these other gods and stuff. Like the law says, you're not supposed to even utter those gods' names, period. Okay, well, somebody simple on here be like, well, what about the gods that's written in the Bible? You're supposed to teach. Well, of course, it's written in the book. Okay, but if you out here just conversating, talking about gods and just cause and reference them and things like that, you in trouble. Okay, but what's going to happen? This refers to when the Messiah comes back. He's going to, purify the earth. He's going to burn it and stuff. Because why? You got to get rid of it. There's so much sin that's been done in all the lands and stuff, everywhere. It got to get purified and stuff. And the only way you purify something is if you burn it. Okay? So it's burning down all their altars, the images, the statues, all the idols, everything. Everything you could name of is going to get burnt. And according to that, we were supposed to do that. But obviously, we didn't, and now they got laws up here. If you do those things, you'll get thrown in jail. Plain and simple. Okay? So, that's why we have to wait for the Messiah to come back to do that. Let's get the next law, verse 4 through 7.
Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 4. Ye shall not do so unto the Lord your God, but unto the place which the Lord your God shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation shall ye seek, and thither thou shalt come. And thither ye shall bring your burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and heave offerings of your hand, and your cabals, and your free will offerings, and the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks. And there ye shall eat before the Lord your God, and ye shall rejoice. Ye shall rejoice in all that ye put your hand unto, ye and your households, wherein the Lord thy God hath blessed thee.
So right here, it's speaking of, all your burnt offerings. So it's talking about all the things you got to do. It has to be in Israel. Now, some people say, well, you can't keep the Passover. You ain't supposed to be doing that. You ain't supposed to be doing this and this, that, and the other. We ain't in our land and things. But you're supposed to keep those regardless. And everybody got this understanding of just Israel, that little spot right there next to Gaza and stuff. That's not the whole land. The whole land is from the Nile eastward all the way to the river Euphrates. That's westward.
That's all Israel.
That's all Israel. So you got Ethiopia, you got Sudan, you got Somalia, you got Eritrea, you got Egypt, you got was that Liberia or whatever, all the way up, Saudi Arabia, and all the lands throughout Saudi Arabia to the river Euphrates. Okay, that's all Israel, and we're going to prove that in 1 second. So, of course, you had to do all those things and can only do those things in that land. But right now, we don't do it because still you need the altars, you need the Ark of the Covenant, you need the high priest, and you need the sons of Aaron to perform any of those things anyway. Okay. Now I said there was something I said in another video about 2 videos ago about making a like a bread offering or whatever on your altar that you didn't need the priest for and things like that, because you're getting crops and you're getting all these different things and stuff that you can make and things. Okay, so what I would say here in this land, no, I wouldn't do that. But if I was over in those borders and things, then yeah, I would do those things. Okay, but as of right now, I'm not in those borders. So if it sounded like I messed up or on accident said something, then forgive me. Correcting it right now with it. Okay, so let's continue. Let's get the next law, 8 through 14.
Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 8. Ye shall not do after all the things that we do here this day. Every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. For ye are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which the Lord your God giveth you. But when ye go over Jordan and dwell in the land which the Lord your God giveth you to inherit, and when he giveth you rest from all your enemies round about, so that ye dwell in safety, Salakia, then there shall be a place which the Lord your God shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Thither shall ye bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings and your sacrifices, your tithes, and the heave offerings of your hand, and all your choice vows which you vow unto the Lord. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God, ye and your sons and your daughters, and your menservants and your maidservants, and the Levite that is within your gates, for as much as he had no part nor inheritance with you. Take heed to thyself that thou offer not thy burnt offerings in every place that thou seest, but in the place which the Lord shall choose in one of thy tribes, there thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings, and there shalt do all that I command thee.
Okay, stop right there. So to back this up, it says, don't do what you feel is right, okay? What you think is right in your own eyes and stuff, okay? Don't do that. Now, what I was saying about, to back that up, of saying what the land is and things. Now, mind you, this time it's talking about going over to Jordan, right into the border that the Most High made for Israel at that time. But you got to remember what it says back in Genesis, let me get it, 15 and verse 18. Go there once.
Genesis 15?
Yep. In verse 18. And let's see what he said on to, our forefather Abraham. Let's get there. 15. Okay, go ahead.
This is Genesis chapter 15, verse 18. In the same day the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates.
So right there, so it's letting you know this is the land that he's given him, in the land, the river in Egypt. That's talking about the Nile, all the way over into the land of into Arabia and stuff, to the river Euphrates. And even to back that up, as it says in Isaiah 11:11, that the Most High will gather a remnant of our people out of certain lands that where the Nile River goes up, because a lot of our people are around over there as well, besides all 4 corners of the earth. Okay, so that's giving that understanding on how we're supposed to do our sacrifices and things like that when that time comes and stuff. Okay, when everything's set back in order. Let's get the next law. Deuteronomy chapter 12 and verse 17 through 18.
Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 18.
17.
Verse 17, Salakia. Thou mayest not eat within thy gates the tithe of thy corn, or thy wine, or thy oil, or the firstlings of thy herds, or of thy flock, nor any of thy vows which thou vowest, nor thy freewill offerings, or heaven offering,
Heave offerings.
or heave offering, Salakia, heave offering of thy hand. But thou must eat them before the Lord thy God in the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. Thou shalt choose, thou and thy son, and thy daughter, and thy manservant, and thy maidservant, and the Levite that is within thy gates, thy gates. And thou shalt rejoice before the Lord thy God all that thou puttest thine hands unto.
So you know all the offerings that we have and stuff that we make onto the Most High for the sacrifices and things like that, it can only be eaten over there. So that's another reason why you can't just do, you know, the sacrifices here and anywhere that you're at like that, because it's not going to be deemed holy. And once again, you still need the priesthood in order to do those things. Okay, so you can't just keep going out here doing whatever you want. All right. So let's get the next law, verse 19.
Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 19. Take heed thyself that thou forsake not the Levites as long as thou livest upon the earth.
So it's letting you know right now, take heed not to forsake a Levite. Now, mind you, you got poor people out here, our brothers and sisters who's poor and stuff. You don't even know if they're Levites. You know what I'm saying? You might just go walk past them like, I ain't giving them nothing, knowing that you had that to give when they asked of you and things like that. For once again, so you got two different things you got to deal with. That they may be a Levite, and then two, that they may be an angel and stuff. You don't know. You know, that's why it says in Hebrews 13 and 1 through 2, I think, saying, be aware, you know, for you may be entertaining angels and things. So, you know, be careful of what you're doing out there and what you're saying to people and things. Anybody. Okay? And if your people are out here struggling and they need help, you have it, give it to them. Okay? Because they may be a Levite and you might be breaking the law right there. All right? So, be careful. Let's get the next law. Verse 20 through 22.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 12, verse 20. When the Lord thy God shall enlarge thy border as he hath promised thee, and thou shalt say, I will eat flesh, because thy soul longeth to eat flesh. Thou mayest eat flesh whatsoever thy soul lusteth after. If the place which the Lord thy God hath chosen to put his name there to be far from thee.
No, read that again.
If the place which the Lord thy God hath chosen to put his name there be too far from thee, then thou shalt kill of thy herd and of thy flock, which the Lord hath given thee, as I have commanded thee, and thou shalt eat in thy gates whatsoever thy soul lusteth after. Even as
Oh, stop right there.
okay.
Wait a second. No, I'm sorry. Verse 22. Go ahead.
Verse 22. Even as the roebuck and the hart is eaten, so thou shalt eat them. The unclean and the clean shall eat of them alike.
So, a lot of people is going to talk about when they pull this law, they see unclean and clean. Excuse me. Let me read that again. Even as the roebuck and the hart is eaten, so thou shalt eat them. The unclean and the clean shall eat of them alike. Now, some people thought that was talking about you can eat whatever flesh you want, and people made doctrines out of this too. The Most High said you cannot eat no unclean animal.
Especially with the swine and the...
Right. You got Leviticus chapter 11 and Deuteronomy 14 on the dietary laws. When it says unclean and clean alike, it's talking about Israel and it's talking about Gentiles, okay? So they eat them alike, what they soul lust after. So it's speaking of the stranger, once again, who's sojourn amongst you and stuff. So it's not talking about you can just eat whatever food you want and things like that. No, it's not what it's saying. Okay, so don't get that twisted. All right. Let's get the next law. What was that? 12. Verse 30 and 32.
Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 30. Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them, after that they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise? Thou shalt not do so unto the Lord thy God, for every abomination to the Lord which he have they done unto their gods, for even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their gods. What thing soever I command you, observe to do it. Thou shalt not add thereto, nor diminish from it.
So it's like, don't add on to this and don't take away from it. Plain and simple. So that's why I was saying in this law, it's talking about the unclean again. It's talking about the other nations because they do these things. They eat the bloods of all animal and stuff, even human beings and things. All these different abominations and stuff. They serve, they worship, put their babies through fires, all this other stuff. They still do that till today. They just do it behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. Okay? So that's the reason why they call it clean and unclean in that context. So Israel is the clean, the other nations is the unclean. Okay? So just getting that understanding and things like that. But it says don't follow them and don't even inquire after them, saying how to serve their gods and stuff. Don't even ask them like, well, how do you worship your God and things like that. Don't do that. Forget it. You don't need it. It's bull crap knowledge and wisdom that you don't need. Okay? Like everybody, a lot of Israelites be out there seeking and searching. Well, this and that, and be pulling all these different things into the scriptures where it tells you not to do those things. You know what I'm saying? You're learning from these other nations to do their customs and stuff, and you get trapped up. Well, I'm not following their customs, but your action says otherwise. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why you're not supposed to do that. So don't even inquire of how to worship their gods and things like that, or even to know them. Don't even get in a conversation with them, okay? Unless they're inquiring about our God, okay? So let's get the next law real quick. Deuteronomy 13, 1 through 5. Oh, yeah.
Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 1. If there arise amongst you a prophet or dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spoke unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God proveth you to know whether ye love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Ye shall walk after the Lord your God, and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice, and ye shall serve him, and cleave unto him. And the prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he had spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which the Lord thy God commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee.
So right here, this is a law. This is specifically telling you guys. Now, mind you, I've heard this saying all the time when brothers is wrong in the truth and things like that. You guys be trying to prophesy about some stuff that ain't never came to pass. Period. and you guys backed it up with a lot of anger, or excuse me, emotion behind it too. Like you swore on the Most High. Guarantee I've heard it all before. And the biggest one was, well, you guys prophesied and said that Obama was going to serve a third term. Guess what? You said the Most High said it was going to happen. It was going to happen. You made lessons on it and stuff. You backed it up with an attitude and stuff. Your followers or people who followed you backed it up with an attitude and stuff. And you basically said that this was going to happen. It was going to come to pass. But then turn around and the Most High got a way of humbling you. You sit there and you seen that Obama didn't serve a third term. It was only going to be Trump. Okay? Now, I've watched and I heard a lot of people wasn't speaking on those days and then came up afterwards after they hid their face in some shame. They sat there and made videos on the fact that, well, we like to use this script. We prophesied in part. We all look through a dim window and stuff. Nah. Understand what the word prophesy means. Okay? Stop doing those things. Okay? If the Most High, like it says, if I prophesy right now, if I say right now, it's like 70 degrees, 60 something degrees here in Milwaukee. And then tomorrow the weather says it's going to be 85 degrees, 100%. And I sit there and have a dream before the next day comes, and I sit there and say, or a vision, the Most High shows on to me, and I said, no, tomorrow's going to be -10 with a blizzard in Milwaukee. And the next day, that comes to pass, and it's -10 and it's a blizzard, not 85 degrees and sunshine. Guess what? I said the Most High showed me that. So what does that make me? A prophet. But if that stuff doesn't come to pass, and I swore by the Most High and said that was going to happen, and it didn't come to pass, what does that make me? You're not a prophet. And you get put to death. That's the reason why you need to watch what you say and watch what you do when you talking about labeling yourself a prophet or whatever the case may be. Okay? So don't play around with those things. Period. Humble yourself. Seriously. Be in meekness. If you wrong, say you're wrong. Apologize for it. Repent for it. But don't come out here saying prophets and I'm a prophet and I'm doing this, or prophetess. Women out here who be doing the same thing and stuff. It ain't nothing come to pass. Like, dude, shame on y'all. Y'all gonna get put to death for doing those things. Just stay in your lane. Teach these laws, statutes, and commandments. We've had all the prophecy come through all the prophets. That's why it's called the Tanakh. From Joshua to Maccabees and Christ. We got the prophecies already. Through John, we got the prophecies already. Just preach the kingdom, which is what? Keeping the law, statute, and commandments of the Most High and doing the will. That's it. Leave all the other stuff be. Okay? Now, I'm not saying expound on the prophecies that's written in the book. Yeah, you can link that up with stuff that's going on today. But as far as coming up and adding on and things and then swearing by the Most High, like I said, the biggest one was the Obama. There was some stuff that happened back in 99 that I heard, and seen on the videos and stuff that, cats was on rooftops thinking some chariots was coming to pick them up. Guess what? Nothing came. So, just being mindful. But anyways, with that, we're going to end it today. We're in an hour and 3 minutes and stuff. So we'll come back to you next time and we'll get the rest of the laws and then we'll get into the meat sessions and things. So anyways, I pray and hope that you guys are enduring and you guys go through, all, any temptations that you're going through, your trials and tribulations and stuff, fight through it. Call up brothers and sisters, if you're going through it, reach out, and just help each other out. We're supposed to be there, and try to talk individuals out when we feel like we're too weak or something, So, anywho, much love to y'all. Kwam Yasharala. And I'm Brother Ezekiel.
And I'm Brother Jose.
And we're saying Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.